Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday, Wellness Wednesday. I'm Dr. Laurie Davis, and you're watching the Today Show. And we have missed our partner in wellness, Dr. Kaye Sheffield. Welcome back, Kay. We've missed you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yes, and it's a little early for you, but we appreciate you getting up and ready and showing up as our esteemed leader, Dr. Robbie Motter, has taught us so well. Just show up. And lots of great things can happen. So I did a couple of solo shows, Kay, while you were gone. I think they were all right, but it's always great to have the interaction with another colleague. So welcome back. And just want to acknowledge a few things in your neck of the woods today. Of course, is the anniversary, the 23rd anniversary of 9/11. And just everybody remembers where they were that day. And it's kind of like when we lost JFK, and everybody knows exactly what they were doing and where they were. And I saw a beautiful presentation by the Paradigm University this morning. They planted 3,000 flags. The university called Waves of Flags, 3,000 flags, one for every life that was lost in 9/11. And then additional flags from countries who lost family members in 9/11 from other countries. So it's this beautiful display of American flags flying down there today. I believe it's Paradigm University. I'm not sure where that is. I don't think it's California, but it's somewhere in your country. I guess we'll have to do some more research. And then, of course, recognizing 9/11 today. So just want to put that out to all of our American friends this morning. And on top of all that, Kay, what's the latest with the fires that you know about?
Well, there's 3 burning in Southern California right now, and one to the north of me, one to the west of me, one to the southwest of me. So they're all around. It feels like we're burning.
Mm-hmm.
And there are thousands of acres that are burning. All of our mountains are on fire.
Yeah. And not contained yet either, I understand from the news anyway.
Right.
But I like to hear it from the horse's mouth. So, yeah, they're real and they're there. You can see them, I know. Yeah, right. So today we're going to talk about traveling because you're such an avid traveler and you've been many, many places. Do you want to just off the top of your head name a few of the places you have visited in your lifetime?
Oh my goodness. Well, I've hit every continent except for one. And so I've been in Africa a couple of times. Europe, we grew up there in high school. I went to high school there. I've been to China, Japan, Korea, and to Antarctica as well. We went down into South America and Antarctica. And so the one continent missing is Australia. And that will be next March, in 2025. We'll be going on a dancing cruise, so it'll be
nice
fun.
Wow! And most recently, while you were away, where were you anyway?
Well, I was in Iceland. We flew out of LAX to Iceland, and then to a new country. I didn't know the Faroe Islands were a separate country, and then on over to Norway. So if you can kind of look at this little map, I've got a little map here.
Oh, okay.
Where we were, well, let's see, got to figure out how this goes. So we went all the way around Iceland and clear up into the Arctic Circle and got a certificate for going there. Faroe Islands are here, and then over to Bergen and several fjords over in Bergen over there, and then ended up being kicked off the ship in Bergen, took a train over to the other side of Norway to Oslo, and that's where we just had fun, both those big cities, with our group of 12.
Isn't that wonderful?
So really neat, yeah.
Wow. Because, when you think about it, people go, well, I'd like to go to Mexico, or I'd like to go to the Caribbean, or of course, up here where it's cold, a lot of the time we always look to go somewhere warm, right? So what was the weather like there? at
Well,
this?
it was cold. It was raining, and so I had to wear a little cap some of the time. This is one I actually knitted myself before we went, and then I ended up getting a second one that's a little heavier, and it's a little puffin
Oh,
because of the puffins that are up in Iceland.
oh, nice,
Fun to
nice.
fun to have, but yeah, raincoats and layers. So I was just thinking about that this morning. Highly recommend, no matter where you go, just taking layers, always having a jacket, a rain jacket, an extra sweater. Even if it's just on the plane, you might need it there.
Right. So
So,
today we're going to share some tips on how to stay safe and how to stay healthy when you're traveling.
yes,
Because about this time last year, it'll be a year in November, I traveled to California
I did.
and I stayed with my friend, Dr. Kaye. And I was so excited because we were going to an award event, Kindness Day, November 13th, and we were getting awards. And so we were all excited for me to be going there in person. And what happened? I got sick, and I hadn't been that sick in, I can't even remember the last time. And I got this cold, and then we were worried it was COVID, and then you got it, and we nursed each other back to health. That we've seen ourselves at our worst, right? And our best.
Yes,
Right. So we're good.
yeah.
So, what are some of the items you'd recommend? Okay, so let's start with the clothing um, and items that we need to take with us, no matter where we're going.
Right. And I think the layering part is so important. And be sure and take some of those clothing with you on the plane. You do pack your suitcase if you're going, especially overseas, someplace. But some of those extra layers, I would put them in my. Well, I carry a backpack, is what I carry, and so I've got extra pockets in that backpack. One's for food, one's for medicines and um, immune support items, and then writing materials, uh, things I can do at night. So, like I like to pray at night, so I have a little booklet that I can look at and read some Bible verses. And then in the very back is the most important. All the uh, flight information, all the trip information, and that's all in a plastic sheet. Plastic protective sheet. And so I know it's not going to get caught in the rain or blown away in the wind, but I have that there that I know where it is. And if others need it, they can find it too. So,
So, question is a backpack, and I had a dream about a backpack last night. And I don't even own one, but I know I did. I had this, and I was at an airport, and I was, maybe I was thinking about our show today, but I had this bizarre dream where I couldn't find anything, and I couldn't collect things, and I had stuff I wanted to take with me, and so. Is a backpack considered a personal carry-on item?
yes.
Okay. Okay, so you
Uh,
you wouldn't be able to have a backpack and a personal carry-on item. No.
um, I usually do carry my little purse. I have a little purse that I put over my shoulder so that uh, I've got that. I've always got my passport in that, or in a belly pack, depending on where I'm going, how safe the area is. So
Right.
sometimes I'll put it right next to my body, next to my skin, and it's on me all the time if it's a country that I'm not real sure about being in.
Mhm.
Um, Iceland and Norway are really, really safe. So
Yeah,
I
tell
don't
us
worry
about
about it.
that. What did you observe about the safety there?
Oh my goodness, it's a clean country, also green as compared to here, where everything's brown and burned up now. But in Southern California, but everything is so green, so many waterfalls. You could drink the water right out of the faucet everywhere we went, and we were told to. It was really good, clean water. There's it's all heated, it's geothermal underground um, springs that heat 95% of the homes and
Oh,
buildings
wow.
and businesses there. So they have that in Iceland, and So it's just been amazing. And people exercise. They are walking everywhere or hopping on trams and buses and trains, and so less traffic than we have here.
Right. And they're probably all slim. Obesity may not be part of their culture, do you think?
I looked for heavy set people, and the only ones I saw were the ones that were the foreigners. So
Okay.
um, yeah, that was true in Norway and Iceland. I mean, there's every once in a while you'll find somebody, and but for the most part, people are thin. They're athletic. They're running up and down the streets or bicycles or toting their kid or their dog in a little carrier on their with their bicycles.
So what
So
was the food like? What was the menu? What do people eat there?
well, we were on a cruise, so we had a little bit of everything on the cruise,
Of course.
bad things and good things. So, but I also firmly believe in being as healthy, eating as healthy as you can when you're on your trip. Try to have your 3 meals a day and eat the right things. Eat the fruits and vegetables that you know you've got to have. And I do take the supplements and have them. I put them in little baggies. I've got my little baggie here of my supplements, and I have my little daily supplements of um, these are Juice Plus, so they're fruits and vegetables and berries in little capsules. So I know I've got these every day to take with me wherever I go. If I'm running out on a tour or trip, I've got that with me. If I'm on the plane, I've got one or two of these, just knowing I need to have those. So yeah, I think it's wise to do that. Just kind of watch what you're doing and eating. My brother always says he always feels his body always feels the best when he's traveling, and I think it's
Oh,
because
wow.
we're more watchful of what we're eating and doing with our bodies.
Right, right. And lots of water, right?
Yes,
Right.
lots and lots of
Hydrate.
water. And I
Mhm.
recommend just taking a plastic water bottle. I took a thermal container because I thought, oh, I might want some warm something or other. This is easiest. This is easiest to carry. It's lightest in weight. Those are heavier. And I can add things to this, like I add in my Luminate, which helps to just keep my mind going and whatnot, or emergency. I found out that that was important, and I hadn't taken that with me, but it helps to fight off and keep germs and bugs and keeps your immune system high.
Yes, right. I take that every day. I can't s I have a difficult time swallowing capsules, so my supplements are liquid that way. Um, but, yeah.
That or there's some chewable. Juice Plus has these
Oh, yes, let's talk
chewable.
about those. Tell people
Okay,
what that is. People don't know what that is, so just talk about that.
so the capsules are hard for me to take too. So and I sometimes get them caught in my throat. But I love these little. These are little. Uh, they call them samples or um, just daily little supplement of fruits and vegetables, chewables inside, and so they look like this, or
It's
just a
like
little,
a gummy,
like a little gummy
and
thing.
who doesn't love gummies?
Yeah, these are so good for you, and sometimes they help get the capsules down when they don't go down very well. So I always
Right.
have these handy.
Mhm, mhm. So, really, when we're traveling, perhaps we shouldn't use it as an excuse because we think we're traveling, we should just have fun. So, we shouldn't use that as an excuse to abandon our health habits that we've
Right,
created at home, right?
right.
Is that what we're saying?
Well,
And why is it more important to do that when we're traveling?
there's germs everywhere.
Right,
So I
right.
had my little bag I carry on the plane with me, and it's got a couple masks in it because you don't know
Okay.
if you're going to be sitting next to somebody who's coughing, which I was
Mhm.
11 hours coming home from Copenhagen. There was a guy sitting next to me, and he'd be coughing, and so I put my mask on because I thought, you know what, I don't want to be sick.
No.
And then I've got my little neck piece that it's a blow up neck piece so that I can put that on and fall asleep and
Oh,
my head
nice.
doesn't go too far.
Right,
So that's
right.
really helpful too. I've got a little mask in here So that is helpful as well. And earplugs. So that's my little bag I put in my backpack, and then the backpack can go usually under the seat in front of you. So
Right,
I'll have
right.
them more handy for you.
That's really, I love the way you've got things bagged up, because that's really organized and easy to access if you need it in a hurry or an emergency or whatever, right?
Right.
So I think our viewers should be making lists of things that they need to take, and probably in that we would include some hand sanitizer somewhere along the way,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, we're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a few more ways to stay safe when traveling. And I have a really good story around that, because I made a trip to Texas and ended up in the wrong hotel. And it wasn't in a very good part of town. So when we come back, we'll talk more about being able to stay safe and why you need to pay attention and observe, etc. Okay, we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Dr. Laurie Davis with my colleague, Dr. Kaye Sheffield, bringing you words of wisdom on Wellness Wednesday. There's an alliteration. Words of wisdom on a Wellness Wednesday.
Yeah.
So Kaye just returned from Iceland. We've missed her the last couple of weeks. And so today we thought we would share some tips on how to travel and stay well and healthy, because the last thing you want to do is get sick in a foreign country. So one of the things that's really important, and even though we had our challenges, Kaye, is medical insurance. And we need to have medical insurance when we're traveling in case you get sick. And so many people are out there, I bet, traveling around with no medical insurance, and it's very expensive to get sick in another country. And what did you get to see anything around their medical system over there, Kaye? Norway and Iceland? Is it different? Is it better? Did you hear anything about that?
Yes, it was helpful, but I didn't have to deal with them. I did have a fall. The ship was pretty rocky, and I had 2 glasses of water, and all of a sudden we had a jolt, and I went down on my knee on the cruise ship, and the cruise people were so great. So that was really helpful. I mean, they came and changed the bed because it was all soaking wet. Came up and checked my knee and gave me a wrap if I needed that, and any medication I might need. So I didn't have to go into Iceland for any medicine, but I've seen it happen before, where we're in a foreign country, and you need help. You need to figure out what you're doing. Um, and to be prepared beforehand. I think the other thing for me too was not being prepared for that fall. So some kind of a wrap for your knee, but I also took little band-aids, the little tiny strips of band-aids. I brought a bunch of those, but when I fell in or tripped in the hotel in Oslo, and had just band-aids to put across my 2-inch long gash in my arm. And I now realize there was a nurse that was on our trip. Thank you, Chris, for your help. But she had antibiotic ointment in little packages and band-aids, and she just gave me some, and I was able to maintain that until I could get home to my own doctor. But
So maybe like a little first aid baggie, little
yes,
first aid kit with
yes.
some things in there.
And go a little bit bigger. I mean, your usual
Yep.
band-aids are typical, but to have a big bandage patch like this, you don't usually think of that. But for me, it was really so wise to have.
And not only just for ourselves, but in the event of somebody on the trip with us needing some of that didn't put it in their bag or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Good
So
morning.
I'll add something else onto that too. And I think it's really wise, as you're talking about the insurance, the medical insurance and the medical uh, help for where you are, to realize beforehand, before you even leave, to get all that information ready. To not only that, but get your life ready. What if something happens to you? Do you have an advance care directive? Do you have a power of attorney? Do you have medical insurance? You have trip insurance, which is
Mhm,
also very helpful because we've used it. I had to use it one time when we were in Africa. Had to
mhm,
have that trip insurance. So I think
right.
it's really wise to have all that stuff. And then you can feel calm on your trip and feel
Yeah.
stress free.
Yeah, that's right. Because there's no point in going away and being all stressed out. What's the point of going then?
Absolutely.
Right. Cool. Well, I had an interesting adventure in 2009. Gee, that's a while ago. I was on 55 airplanes that year, and I spoke in 18 American cities. And I was on the team from Clemson University in South Carolina. They had a professional team as part of their continuing education program. I was the only Canadian on the team, but we would travel and we did 1 day workshops for women who had administrative positions. So it was all about professional development, personal development. So in your audience, you might have an admin person from the FBI or an admin person from Postal Services or an admin person from an oil company. It was just a really nice mix of women. So uh, I traveled to 18 cities and we always stayed at the Marriott, which is, as you know, a very nice hotel. And that's usually where they had the event. So this one particular time, I was going to Texas, Galveston, right after they had the hurricane there, right after. But we were outside of Galveston, and anyway, for whatever reason, when I got to the hotel, they did not have my reservation, and they had no space for me. There was no room at the inn. Does that sound familiar? So, so I said, well, that's okay. I'll just, I flipped at that time through the phone book and there was this motel just down the road from the Marriott. So I get in a taxi and the taxi driver said to me, "Are you sure you want to stay there?" And I knew then I had, made a decision that maybe wasn't that very supportive or safe, because when you travel alone, I was always alone when I traveled. So I was always conscious of my safety. So anyway, I get to this motel, long story short, and it's full of the workers who are working the hurricane, repairing Galveston, putting it back together. There were a lot of Mexicans there. There were, I think, people from all cultures actually, standing in their doorways, drinking a beer, having a smoke. And I had to walk down past all these people to get to my room. So when I get in my room, I closed that door and I locked it and I never went out after that. But I did order a pizza to be delivered. So that happened. The next morning, I get up to go to the lobby to pay my bill and so on and check out, and there's nobody there. The place was locked up. The workers were gone. It was just me and the world. And no cell phone. And I went, okay, I need a taxi. I need a taxi. So I go to the I'm all dolled up because I've got to speak that day. So I'm walking down this big highway. I see a convenience store and I go down to the convenience store. And here is this young pregnant woman in the convenience store, cannot speak English. And I'm saying to her, I need a taxi. Taxi. And she goes, no taxi here. No taxi. In the meantime, another lady comes in to buy some cigarettes. She looked at me and she went like this, she looked like up and down. She knew I was out of my territory here. This is when it's important to be street smart. And I was street smart. And I am street smart. So anyway, she said, how did you get here? Where'd you come from? You don't look like you belong here. I said, well, actually, I'm supposed to be at the Marriott. I'm trying to get a taxi. Oh, she said, that's not going to happen. She did speak English. Taxis won't come here. They won't even come into this community. You're in the wrong place, my girl. I said, oh my God, what am I going to do? But she said, we just met. And if you trust me, I'll take you over to the Marriott. I'm just here to buy some smokes. And I did trust her, just like that. It was like, boom. And so I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll pay for your smokes and you take me to the Marriott and I'll be truly grateful. And that's how I got out of that situation, because an angel always appears, I believe, if you're paying attention. Right, Kay?
Right.
And you've had your own travel series adventures as well, if you want to just give a brief general story about a crash.
Oh, yes. We did. We did have a plane crash in South Africa. So it was a small plane and we survived it. All was well. Everybody was okay. My mom and dad, who were in their 80s, came through fine, like good troopers. And yeah, we made it through.
Wow.
But I consider it a miracle. There was a lot of praying going on at the time. And I was very grateful to be through that safely.
Yeah, you bet. So good morning to all of our viewers this morning. And I find it very fascinating that you've been in a plane crash, but then you have no, do you think about that now when you travel and you get on a plane? Does that thought process happen still?
It does in some ways, because my brother is a pilot as well. He was up with the pilot in the front when the crash occurred. But he kind of taught me, okay, when you get in a plane, find your exits. Where's your closest exit? Where's your next closest exit? Is the raft underneath your seat? Check and see if it's there. Feel under there, because they always tell you, oh, under your seat is your protective gear, your vest that you need to wear. Mm-hmm. And so I always check and make sure that's there. So yeah, I'm aware. I usually am in the aisle seat. And I know there's a faster way to get out.
Right. Cool. Yeah. Well, I always get an aisle seat as well, but not for the same reason. When we used to do a lot of traveling, Ron and I together, as you know, Ron is a retired aircraft maintenance engineer. So we'd be sitting on the tarmac waiting to take off. And he'd say, did you hear that little tick sound? And I'm going, what are you talking about? Because he's the kind of guy who gets on a plane, he puts the belt on and he's not getting up until we land. And I thought, oh my gosh, will you stop? So now when we fly, he doesn't fly anymore. He's chosen not to. But back when we were still flying, I'd book him 3 rows ahead of me in the aisle. I'd sit 3 rows back in the aisle so I could wave to him and then talk to the lovely people who were sitting next to me. So while he's up there analyzing what could be wrong with the airplane. So, but, statistically, it's safer to be in the air than it is to be on the highway. So especially where you live and all that traffic, right?
That was so clear to me when we came back, because I was kind of afraid to go. And my brother convinced me. He said, we're going to be in some small planes, but it'll be okay. And we did. We flew from different areas to different areas. And we got home, and he was saying, there's more traffic accidents that happen than plane crashes. Oh, yeah. And as we drove home, 3 car crashes happened around us, not that we were seeing, but not were happening, not were occurring, but that we could see. But I thought, oh my gosh, that's so true. Yeah. To see those crashes there. But yeah. Doesn't happen
All
very often.
right. Well, we're going to take another little break. And of course, this is an opportunity that I love to share with our viewers. If you have something you'd like to promote, advertise, if you have a book, you have a product, you have an event coming up, then you might want to put it here. We have a heck of a deal right now. And we're busy getting people in line to advertise with us. So this is what 30 seconds looks like. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Dr. Laurie Davis, and you're listening to and watching the Today Show here on the Disability Channel. And we're delighted today to have our wellness expert back in the seat, back in the saddle. She's been away for a couple of weeks. And also on that clip, I just wanted to share that on Sunday evening, we have an event happening. And one of our beautiful colleagues and co-hosts, Virginia Clark, just came through a huge cancer recovery journey. And we had booked to have a fundraiser for her. So our fundraiser is this coming Sunday night online from 6 p.m. until 8 p.m. Mountain Time. If you'd like more information about that, you can contact me. Just call the doc. I think that's the easiest way and the quickest way to get a hold of me. And just call the doc, or you can email me and we'll share with you about the event. The cost of the event is $25, and the money goes directly to Virginia because she's been off work for quite a while. And you know how that is when you depend on that second income to support the family. So we as a group decided, hey, well, there's something we can do about it. And here's where you send your money: unboundbravery@gmail.com. You can send your $25 there and attend our workshop. And it's going to be such fun. And if you know people who have kids, even if you have grown children, you're maybe a Sunday school teacher, you're a hockey coach, you're a school teacher, you're a grandma who has grandkids in your life, whatever. And we're going to give you 10 tips on how to build confident children. Even if you have adult children who are not very confident, this can support you in that. So we're really excited about our event, Kay.
Yes, it should be really good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, for sure. All right. So travel safety, travel tips, how to stay well, how to, yes, Kathy, that's right. Would help you with your brother. Yes, because we have siblings maybe that need that support as well. And little love hearts from Virginia. She's listening today. So let's get that out there and make that successful, which it will be. We already have people signed on. Looking forward to it. All right, back to our discussion today. If you're just joining us, we're talking about how to travel safely, how to take what you need, prepare for emergencies. You know, Kay, the fires are a perfect example of that, being prepared. Last year, when we were evacuated, we had 10 minutes to get out of the house. And they had been giving us warning signs. So I had been kind of putting a few little things together, but nothing serious, because I had this belief that maybe, you know me, queen of denial, that it wasn't going to happen to us, right? Isn't that what we think? Well, nothing's going to happen to me while I'm traveling. I'm going to be fine. And so that denial can get us into trouble. But since then, I now have in my closets, one of my closets, I have a bag of dry food, like dry goods packages and crackers and whatever. And I also have a bag of, paper plates, drinking cups, things like that you would need to eat with. And, it's in my little fireproof firebox with our passports in them and our important papers. But now I've got that there, and that's a good thing, because before that experience, I would not have thought of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And right now, there are people in your neck of the woods, they've got 10 minutes to get out. So they're saying if there's an evacuation order, maybe it's not happened yet, but take that time to prepare
Right.
and
Right.
be.
There's usually warnings ahead of time
That's
for the
right.
area, so it's possible.
Yeah, for
Not
sure.
planned on, not what you want to do for a day, but it's something that you need to just be prepared for. But yeah,
Hmm.
it's just like our travel time too. We need to be
Hmm.
prepared for that and for whatever might be coming up, whatever we might be encountering while we're there.
Right.
So,
So
yeah.
let's talk a little bit about the benefits of travel and how it supports us emotionally, physically. A lot of people have no desire to travel. That's okay. But I've had a passport since I was 18. And you and I are both children of immigrants. And we've had this talk before, but it was my dad who instilled in me the desire to travel because once he went overseas, and of course, your experience as a young girl in Germany going to school there, we learned that the world was a bigger place than where we were born or brought up. And so I was inspired by that and did a fair amount of traveling all the time. And I taught school, so I had my summers off and usually booked trips. So, how does that support us, do you think, emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, to be a traveler, to see other places?
Oh, absolutely. All of that is so true. And like several people have talked about, I mean, you feel so safe at home and you feel like, oh, if I just stay here, I'll be safe. And, as we get older, sometimes that's a big issue to get out and to just take that step out and go someplace and show up, like Robbie Motter says. And for me, I was not, and I was not really excited about going on
Yeah.
this trip. It's like, I don't know if I want to go. I mean, there's just so many things going on here, and my peaches are ready, and I've got things that are happening here at home I need to take care of, and uh, but it is such a relief and such a neat feeling just to know to get everything ready ahead of time, know that you've gotten those uh, certificates, the passports, the prescriptions, your medication ready, your over the counter stuff ready, and that you have some with you on the plane. You have anybody that's lost a suitcase when they're traveling and not being able to get to it um, for several days, sometimes up to a week, you need to be able to have some
Hmm.
extra underwear, some extra
Hmm.
clothes, some extra medication, all of those things that you need to carry with you just a little bit, but to be prepared for all of that. And you get there, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I've done everything. I'm all ready. That part is done. Now I can just relax, enjoy, see what I can see. What can I learn about the people I'm with? What can I talk with them about? What is their life like? And it's just amazing to be able to do.
I think for me too, and I agree with everything you've just said, but for me, travel was about I wanted to be in the trenches where the real people are. So many years ago, I have another story about this. I won a trip to Hong Kong with my sales and everything. So a group of us, about 30 of us, went over to Hong Kong and we had this little Asian tour guide. And so she said, on Wednesday afternoon, I'm going to take you down, whoever wants to go, I'm going to take you down to where the real people are, down to the market where the live chickens are walking around the cage. And you're saying, I'll have that one for dinner. And yeah, I like the authenticity. I don't like the tourist traps so much. I want to see and meet the real people. So, a funny story about this, though. This might not happen today, but back then, we had one couple that had been on the trip with us, and they were from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. And he was first generation Russian living here in Canada. And he was tall and blonde and blue eyed and just a handsome man. And so we get down, she said to us, meet me in the lobby, anybody who wants to go on this downtown tour. So we get down there and we're waiting. And I said, oh, Brenda and her husband are coming. And so we should maybe wait just a couple of minutes. So the tour guide goes, who? I said, Brenda and her husband, I forget his name, but he's really tall and he has blonde hair and blue eyes. And oh, she said, no, I don't remember because you Americans all look alike to me. How racial was that? I went, what are you talking about, girl? But we've heard people say that, right? About other cultures. You all look alike to me. I can't distinguish one from the other. But to have that reversed was really interesting,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
when you go to Hong Kong, the runway is in the middle. It's just a runway, and there's ocean on either side of you.
Mhm.
I was terrified. I said, I hope this plane stays on this runway.
Yeah.
But as far as enlightenment, it always expanded my vision for
Mhm.
myself. I know I learned more about me on those trips
Mhm.
than I did about anything else. How savvy I was, or how street smart I was, or knowing how to take care of myself. And I learned more about me than I did the country or the people. What about you?
Absolutely. I think that's an amazing thing to do, to be able to meet the people and wherever you can, to run into them. And the cruise, I love cruises because you've got your stuff all in one place. You don't have to shift it from hotel to hotel. But it also limits you in what you can be part of in the community. So it was really neat to have the inclusion of Bergen, the town, staying there for 3 days, and then 4 days in Oslo. And I think something that really happened the last day was amazing to me. We were just walking down the streets, and you're so safe walking up and down the streets in Norway. And we sat down. We decided we would go to an area. We were actually shopping, and we were sitting down by the city hall, and you could see police and whatnot up by the area, and there were police going down the street in front of us, and we sat down and had a little drink. And pretty soon they said, somebody's coming out, there's a big car, and there's uh, police around. And so they came out and started walking down the street, and the group next to us, a Norwegian group, spoke to one of our 12 people that were on the trip and said, this is the new head of NATO coming down from the city hall, and he was our prime minister here in Norway before that. And sure enough, here comes down all the police and this one man in a white shirt, and they said, it's the man in a white shirt. He came down across the street from us, and one of our members, one of the 12 of us that were traveling together, started clapping and stood up. And he immediately saw her, walked over, said something to her, and talked to all the people along the way. And it was just amazing to see how open, how free, how safe they felt to talk to people,
Hmm.
even though there were police and people around him. But it was an amazing part to see there in Oslo.
Oh, wow.
Neat.
Right. Yes. And the same thing happened for me when I went to Albuquerque, New Mexico. I spoke for 3 consecutive years with the Native American Training Institute, and they had a conference every year. They've been around forever, since the 70s, and they do a 5-day conference in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So I was honored to be invited to speak there, and I went 3 years consecutively. And then, of course, COVID hit. But one of the organizers lived on one of the pueblos, which here we call them reservations, but there it's pueblos. And she invited me to go to her home on the pueblo and have a meal with the family. And her grandmother lived with them and her nephew. And just to have that authentic experience, to me, was the highlight of the trip. And it was always like that for me. If I could get connected on some personal level, but that was a really and I have a beautiful picture of those that family, and I had never been on a Navajo pueblo or community until then. So it was just amazing, and of course I loved Albuquerque. It was just the weather and all the I like all of the Western stuff, right? The Southwestern decor and all that. So yeah, and I found that having traveled gives you those skills that you need to connect with anybody and everybody.
Yeah. I have another story as well.
Okay, you
Uh,
go.
and it's kind of an unusual story. In fact, we talked about it. This group that we traveled with, we've traveled before together. So we went to Cuba together and shared, it's kind of neat to share. Do you remember when and what we did? And so we were in Cuba, and, it's communist country. And so we felt a little put off by them quite a bit of the time, but we were able to walk some of the streets and see some of the people. And remember walking down some of these streets it was so hot in the middle of the day, and this family opened up their door and said, "Come on in, come have tea with us." And it was
Oh
just
wow.
a family that lived there. And here's our pictures. See our pictures on our wall, and talked about what they did and where their family was, and as much as they could share in English with us. And it was
Hmm.
just a really special time to
Hmm.
be there, and to know that our Cuban neighbors are so close, and yet we don't hardly know them. But it was
Hmm.
just a very special time to share with them.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
very much eye opening wherever you go. Stay aware,
absolutely.
stay flexible.
Hmm. Absolutely. And of course, with our dads having been overseas, one of my goals was to get to England because that's where dad landed, and France and Holland. And you know how much respect Holland has for Canadian servicemen and women. And so that was important for me back in the day to get there because that I knew dad's footprints were there as well. And so I did that. And we were actually, my husband and I were at the Dunford, I think it's the Dunfield or Dunfield, I think, airfield. And they have a big museum there. And at that time, the Concorde had just come out, the very first Concorde, and you could go on and tour around. But here's this lovely couple that we met and ended up going to their home for dinner the next night. They were from there, and now we have these new friends. I mean, it's just, I don't understand. I guess, I have a family member who has never been anywhere really and has lived in the same house for 40 years and has the same phone number. And, you know, uh, it's either in your blood, I think, or not. But I think that was also the result of the fact that for me, for traveling, my dad, we moved a lot when he was working. And so we'd come home and mom would be packing up the boxes and we'd be saying, well, where are we going? And so that spirit or that adventure of travel came to me very young. Hmm.
Me as well.
Yeah.
We moved almost every year, being
Hmm.
an Air Force brat, till we got
Hmm.
to some places. We got to New Mexico for 3 years, and then Germany for 4.
Hmm.
So, but yeah,
Yeah.
just amazing to need to reach out and meet new people, make new friends where you go,
Hmm.
but don't
Hmm.
forget the old ones too.
That's
So
right. That's right.
yeah.
Okay. Anything else we want to share about staying well while you're traveling? Any other little tidbits coming up for you?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. I've got a whole box full of things here that I could
Oh boy.
share if you would like for me to do that.
Yeah, we have about 6 or 7 minutes yet.
Okay. Well, I've got some things in here I just thought might be helpful. And one is yours, your idea. And I used it this time as Zycam,
Oh
little
yeah.
reusable swabs, and I used those and
Oh.
shared them. I took several with me, and so shared them with my roomie, and
Hmm.
we would do them every morning and make sure we were
Keeps
being
the bugs out. Keeps the bugs out.
yes, keep the immune system built up and whatnot, and continue those things that you're doing at home too. So that's what's also important. Um, let's see. I also take along charcoal, and activated charcoal is so good for your stomach. If there's anything that
Oh.
you eat and you eat, when you go some places, you want to try some things new, some things, but don't take too many of those new things because your tummy just is not used to having pickled herring or whatever. So, which we did in Iceland. But anyway, the charcoal is really helpful. Um, and I'll always remember to take your Advil, your Tylenol, take those things
Mhm.
because you never know when you've got a headache, an inflammation, or whatever is going on. And I also learned something. My roommate had a sore throat for several days, and the nurse that was with us on our trip said, "Take Alka-Seltzer, put it in water, and gargle it. Don't swallow it. You don't need to swallow it. Just gargle with it." And it took her sore throat away and helped her quite a bit.
Mhm.
I always take cough drops just because you never know when you're going to have a dry mouth, um, or need to have just something in your throat to kind of soften it up. I also carry these little ice chips that my dentist sells that are good for your teeth and good for your gums and help restore them. And so I take those and just suck on one of those if I'm on the plane. And it's so dry on the plane that these little refresh things
Oh,
are
yeah.
very helpful because you can break one off and just be able to carry it in your backpack or whatever. But it keeps your eyes watered as well. Always carry a. I've got a poncho. The the cruise gave us a poncho to wear, so we have always a poncho to wear. You never know. Where were we in South America, and all of a sudden we were on a bus tour, way away from everything, and all of a sudden it just poured. The clouds opened up and it just poured. And thank heavens I had one of those and could cover my backpack and my head and stayed somewhat dry. I also, think it's wise to carry. You never know if you're hiking around to carry some kind of rub for your sore muscles and that kind of thing. Um, Always take a flashlight. Always have one available to you. You never know
Look
when
at you go.
you might need to go to the bathroom and well, where's the bathroom? That's where I got this is tripping over
Oh,
that going in the bathroom. Not at night, but um, just trying to.
that's like a little tickle trunk you have there.
Yeah. Well, and then this was my. Sometimes I carry baggies, all kinds of baggies in different sizes. So you got the small ones and the big ones, and you never know when you're going to be able to just, you're sitting at a hotel and they give you breakfast. So take them extra muffin and stick it in your plastic bag, and then you've got lunch if you need it or something along that line. So it's just very helpful. This is my for my face, and it's just a friend gave it to me for I think Christmas last year, and I love it because it just is reminding me. Okay, you wake up in the morning, you feel awful, and you don't feel like you want to go do anything, and then okay, this is a little reminder. Just get up, get going, get dressed, and get out of here. And so I love carrying that with me. Always little. I have little bags of nuts and picked up. This was at a one of the ships uh, no, it was actually at a hotel. We got some little apricots and nuts, and just take them with you because you can have that on the trail or wherever you are. So those are helpful. I take a little nasal spray just in case nasal stuff gets tied up in some way or another, or overnight. Sometimes your breathing is not the same because you don't have the same humidity. And
Mhm.
I always carry Nivea. There was this right
There
side
we
up.
go.
But it's just wise to put on your lips. Sometimes you just need a little extra moisture. So I
Mhm.
always carry that. And then if you get sick, of course, your emergency is really, really good to have. And I'm now carrying some other little things besides the Advil and the Tylenol. I carry black seed oil because I did get sick on this trip. And so I'm carrying that to just, if I get sick, I can make sure I've got my vitamin C. It's in my little vitamin pack. And then take some other things that might be helpful. Mucinex, whatever you have that helps you get better, feel better, stop the all the
Mhm.
stuff that's going on if you get a cold. So
Yeah, because a lot of times when you're traveling, it does affect your bowels and your regular system because you're off your regular routines for the
yes,
morning and so on, right?
yes. My roommate had some mineral capsules. I need to find out what she did, but my stomach was not feeling real good, and I hadn't pulled out the charcoal yet to just settle my stomach. And she had some little mineral capsules that she gave
Hmm,
me one of them to chew up, and it just settled my stomach down. Ginger is always really good to have wherever
mhm,
you go. Stick it in your backpack. Stick it with you when you go.
right on.
Um,
And of course, your camera, which is now on our phones, and maybe a journal, a little journal. I have to show you this beautiful journal that I received for my birthday. Look at this. Is this not beautiful?
oh, so she did. Yes.
And Jill Younghusband gave that to me. And the inside pages are so beautiful. Look at the flowers at the.
Oh, neat.
I haven't used it yet, but so always have a journal because when I'm traveling, I like to at the end of the day
Yes.
write down where we went, what we did, if there was a special restaurant. So just keeping a journal while you're traveling is I've got tons of them from trips, and I used to create scrapbooks with the photographs and all that. So but anyway, Kay, our time is up, and just thank you so much for stepping up and being on the show today. And glad to have you back home safe and sound. And just thank you very much. We really appreciate you and all that you know.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. I love sharing, and I love sharing about travel, especially. So this was great.
All right. Well, today I'm launching a new show, The Voices of and for Indigenous People. And at 2 o'clock, I'm actually going to be interviewed by our colleague, Dr. Ramin Modiri, and he's going to extract from me, I guess, my history in working on and off reserves, as I've been doing for the past 26 years, and what inspires me about that. And so I don't know what all he's going to bring out of me, but it's going to be very fun. And so we'll be doing that special show every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. So today's our launch. And that's why I'm wearing these beautiful earrings that were a gift to me from my good friend, Dr. Diane LaFond, and my little red dress in memory of missing and murdered Indigenous women. So it'll be a fun show. Looking forward to it. And thank you so much, Kay, once again.
Welcome. Thank
Bye
you.
for now, everybody. Bye for now.